It's Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. Please make sure to like this video, share all of my videos, and make sure you subscribe to this channel. Without further ado, I want to get right into what's happening. A few things I want to talk about today. I jotted down some notes, printed up some articles. Feel free to comment down below on anything I'm talking about. Comment on anything I'm not talking about. But comment. We want to know what's on your mind. I want to know what you're thinking. We all want to know what you're thinking. But just one thing I want to say starting out this video. Yesterday, when I was running some errands, drove by a bunch of car dealers yesterday, a handful of them. And the car dealers are loaded with vehicles. Remember a year ago, 2 years ago, you couldn't find a vehicle on the lot. They were just bare. Now there are piles and piles of cars. I drove by a couple lots yesterday, piles of $80,000+ pickup trucks, piles of utility trucks for sale. It's just amazing the difference we're seeing now with the amount of inventory. But the problem is now people have run out of money. People's credit's been destroyed. People are making less money because inflation, they may be telling you inflation is down, but you know as well as I do, it is not. And people's wages are being eaten alive by inflation. And they're having a more and more difficult time just surviving day to day, let alone going out and buying $80,000 pickup truck. And as I'm driving by these car lots, looking at all these pickup trucks, I'm thinking about this coming Christmas. What is this Christmas going to look like? And I watched a video today on a channel that I really enjoy, Appalachia's Homestead, Patera. And this video was about 2 days old. I was watching it this morning. She gave me a shout out in the video, actually. So thank you, Patera, for the shout out. But I want everybody to check it out. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. But it made me just think about what she was saying. And she is forecasting or predicting that this will probably be the worst Christmas in history. We're going to talk about Appalachia's Homestead and Patera in that video in a couple minutes here. But I looked up some of the statistics for 2022. 35% of Americans took on debt to pay for holiday purchases. And the average debt that they took on, the average consumer last year in 2022, 35% of Americans took on debt. How much was that debt? On average, $1,500. 21.2% right now are behind on the utility bills in America. And yet, last year, 35% of Americans took on debt to buy Christmas gifts, Christmas presents, while 21.2% of Americans are behind on their utility bills. Am I living in the twilight zone? What in the world is going on? But I want to talk a little bit more about that in a couple minutes. Wall Street Journal, cooling inflation likely ends Fed rate hikes. The hopium that is taking place all over the television, all over the media. Cooling inflation likely ends Fed rate hikes. What do you think? Is the Fed going to raise in December? Are we going to see more hikes in 2024? Or is this it? Whatever the case may be, I will say this. The stock market is loving this hope. They're loving the hope that the Fed is done raising rates. And now they're even moving on past that. The markets now are hoping that the Fed is not just done raising rates, that the Fed is going to begin cutting rates. And I'm going to ask all of you this. I'm not an economist, but isn't this what got us here in the first place? Isn't this one of the main reasons, one of the main things that caused all the inflation is keeping these ultra low rates, cutting rates, printing money? This is what they're hoping for. This is what the markets are hoping for. This is what corporate America is hoping for. Cheap, easy money. This is only going to cause even more inflation than we have right now. And anybody that believes in these inflation numbers or in the inflation data, if you believe this stuff, You need help. You really do. And I'm not judging you. I'm not making fun of you. But I think you really need help if you really believe the data that we're being given right now. Mortgage demand climbs to the highest level in 5 weeks after interest rates move lower. This on CNBC today. Isn't this incredible news that that mortgage demand is climbing because interest rates are lowering, and in return mortgage rates are going down? 30-year fixed rate today, 30-year fixed mortgage, 7.76%. Doesn't that sound like an absolute bargain? You can go out today, get a 30-year fixed rate for 7.76%. The uptick was very tiny compared to prior increases in this very volatile data, ladies and gentlemen. Mortgage applications to purchase a home were still down. This is the important thing you need to remember here. Mortgage applications were still down 47% from the same period in 2019. And they're down 61% from January of 2021. But yet they're trying to sell you that things are getting better, that mortgage demand is climbing back, and interest rates are moving lower. So maybe it's now time to buy a house at 7.76%. Again, mortgage applications down 47% from the same period in 2019, down 61% from January 2021. Here's one from Fox Business. Millions of Americans have received a pay cut since the president took office. High inflation has given workers a 3% pay cut since January of 2021. The Labor Department reported Tuesday that the average hourly earnings for all employees was $11.05 in October, a 3.32% decline from the $11.43 figure in January 2021. This while nominal wages are continuing to rise. By that measure, the typical U.S. worker is actually worse off today than they were 2 years ago. Everyday goods, it says right here in the article on Fox Business, everyday goods are up 17.62% since January of 2021. So you're making less money, and everyday goods are up nearly 18% since January of 2021. Now they'll tell you, oh, it's not up as much as, it's not going up as much. It's slowing down, or it went down a little bit from last month to this month. But go back a year, go back 2 years, go back 3 years, and look at these numbers. You go back to 2021, and you're looking at 17.62%. That's the increase of everyday goods. It's like, oh, look, gas prices are down. So I'm paying $5 for regular, so that's better than the $6 I was paying, 8 months ago or whatever it was. But let's not forget, we were paying out here in California under $3 a few years ago for unleaded. Now we're paying $5, and we're supposed to feel good about that. Retail sales drop in October for first time in 7 months. This on Fox Business also. It was only down 0.1% in October, above the 0.3% projected number. It's not drastic, but remember this. You're having to spend more money and you're getting less. You have to spend more to get less. You're getting less in the box. You're getting less quality. And so I think this number is going to continue to see trouble because credit card debt is surging. Student loan repayment has resumed. And when you look at now that so many millions of Americans are forced to use credit cards just for the essentials, and they're paying on average 24.08% in order to do it. How long is this sustainable for? How long can this last? The last depression will seem like Disneyland compared to the one that we are beginning to enter, ladies and gentlemen. All this completely unsustainable. Much of the data that we're receiving is completely manipulated. It's completely fabricated. It's a joke. You know it. I know it. I think the unemployment number is a joke. I think the inflation number is a joke. It's GDP is a joke. They change up the formulas on all of this to get the desired number that they want to get the desired effect out of you that they want. It's amazing that if they keep telling people enough times that everything is okay, people who have no net worth, they have no savings, they have no job, they have nothing, believe that everything is okay. This is how they are dumbing people down every day, that if they keep telling people enough times, even people that have nothing will believe that everything is okay. ArmstrongEconomics.com, 86% of Americans admit they're worse off under this administration. What do you think? Comment down below. Are you worse off now than you were 3 years ago? Were you doing better 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? Are you worse off now? I would think that the majority of this country is worse off now. Now, shifting gears here, going back to what I started with, this video that I watched on Appalachia's Homestead with Patera. It's titled, Worst Christmas Ever. And again, Patera, thank you for the shout out. And if you haven't watched Appalachia's Homestead, I know many of you have come over from her channel. Thank you so much. If you haven't checked out her channel, this is a woman walking the walk. This woman is the real deal. And you know, I'm going to call it the way I see it. When I see people really walking the walk like Patera, I give her props. Ox Talks, my good friend Matt, I give him props. There's just people out there that are walking the walk. And I'm going to give some more recommendations here in the next couple weeks of channels that I think are really walking the walk, and people that are really walking the walk, not just doing this for money, not doing this so they can have a bunch of sponsors and make more money, but they're actually walking the walk. And you know who they are, because you can tell the people walking the walk. You can tell that these are the people that if something goes down, these are the kind of people that would have your back. These are the people that will survive. These are the people who will fight, defend their homes, who have security, who have training, who have skill sets, you know how to cook a meal, know how to hunt, know how to fish. And look, I'm guilty of some things. I could probably be better in certain areas of my preparations, and I'm working on it. And I think that we all need to be working much harder on our preparations. I'm trying to walk the walk as much as I can, but there's areas that I really need to work on myself too. But getting back to this video, worst Christmas ever. Will this be the worst Christmas ever? Comment down below. I want to know what you think about this. And Patera made some really good points here. I'll let you watch the video. I'm not going to give it away, but she basically said this in a nutshell. Just get back to the basics. It's time to get back to the basics. And that means just enjoying your family, enjoying the company of your family, enjoying the company of your friends, sitting down, having a good meal, and just enjoying time together. Is it really about, you know, what kind of watch I got this year, or what kind of necklace I got, or bracelet, or designer clothes, or it's not about the presents, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about the gifts. It's about the time. It's about the memories. It's about the quality of time. So I think she made a really good point there about just getting back to the basics. And she talks about how she's just, you know, simplifying Christmas. And so I'm going to let you check that video out. But again, comment down below. Is this going to be the worst Christmas ever? Are people just not, are they going to be able to afford to even have a Christmas dinner? Are they going to afford to be able to give some gifts to their kids? I mean, we were all kids at one time. We loved getting gifts, no doubt about it. As we get older, it's not as a big of a deal, but to some adults, it's a huge deal. If they don't get something, they feel insulted almost. And I do understand that the holidays, especially Christmas, has gotten very, very corporate. It's big business. I understand that. So I'm with Patera here. Get back to the basics. Get back to simplicity. It's about the quality of time with family and friends. So check that video out. It came out a couple days ago. Worst Christmas ever. And you know, talking about meals, this was very interesting. Thanksgiving dinner is going to be a little less expensive this year. So that's some good news. Average cost of a dinner for 10 people will be $61.17, down 4.5% from last year's $64.05. But let's go back a little farther. Let's go back to 2019. It was the same meal in 2019 was $48.91. That is a substantial difference. If we go back to 2020, which is only 3 years ago, it was $46.90. I mean, that is a big, big difference. So, sure, maybe this Christmas is this Thanksgiving is going to be a little less expensive than last Thanksgiving. But in 2020, just 3 years ago, it was $46.90, not $61.17. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Shifting gears here again, New York Post. Brutes pummel New York PD cop who asked them to stop smoking at New York City subway station. I watched the video of this. Unbelievable. Again, the lawlessness in this country is absolutely out of control. This cop asked these gentlemen to not smoke in the subway, asked them to leave, and they pummeled this cop. Luckily, he got some help, and they did arrest 2 out of the 3. But this guy was in very, very big trouble here for a minute. And when I'm watching this, I'm going, boy, you got to ask yourself, do you really feel safe when the cops can't even protect themselves? I mean, it's just shocking that, first off, that somebody would even attempt to do this to a police officer, and then on top of that, this police officer basically had no skill whatsoever. He's lucky that this didn't become something worse. But again, it's a reflection of the country, society, the lawlessness, and just, when you're calling for help, you have to understand now that a lot of the police today have been hired with lower standards. They don't have the training. They're working too many hours. They're just not prepared to deal with this level of violence, apparently. And we just believe that if we pick up the phone and call, they're going to be here in 10 seconds. They're trained. They're going to be able to know what to do. They're going to be able to stop the assault. They're going to stop the bad guy. Not quite the case. We have a lot of untrained people out there also who are very out of shape, don't have a lot of skills, and they're really every day putting their lives into jeopardy because they're just not prepared to deal with what is out there. And that's why you need to be prepared to deal with what is out there, because they're not. They're not. You need to take this seriously. And I'm not saying this about all police. I have some very, very close friends who work at the Riverside Sheriff's Department out here, who I've known for many, many years, who can take care of business. But even they will tell you that most of the people that work for them are not prepared, are not trained, not ready. So that means you have to be trained, you have to be ready, you have to be prepared, you have to be in shape. I'm going to close with this last article, also from the New York Post. Cars block FedEx semi while dozens pillage packages, leave boxes scattered. A FedEx tractor trailer, big rig, 53-foot trailer, blocked by several cars in Memphis, Tennessee. Oh, watch the video on this one too. Check it out. Just Google it, YouTube it. Multiple men used an unknown tool to open the safety latch on the back of the trailer, and they got in, and dozens of people were taking everything they could. Boxes flying all over the road, people running off of boxes, jumping into cars, burning rubber, taking off. Thank God the driver is okay. That driver must have really been scared to just look at this mob of people surrounding his truck, boxing him in, robbing the truck. Even when the truck began moving, there were still people running inside the trailer, taking what they could get. Somebody please comment down below and tell me, where in the world am I living? I thought last time I checked, this was the United States of America. Apparently, I'm living in some third world country now where UPS trucks, what was it last week, a FedEx, a UPS truck, a woman driver, they pulled up and surrounded her and robbed it. No, they took that truck. They drove off with that truck. This one, they surrounded a big tractor trailer and robbed it, took what they could take. This is stuff that you hear about in third world countries. This is the stuff you hear about in like Somalia or Venezuela. These are things you don't typically hear in America. But not that this hasn't happened here and there, but this is happening on a regular basis. This is a UPS truck and a FedEx truck now within a week being robbed or stolen. Police being pummeled. Absolutely no respect for the law. And the people that did this, they just blocked an intersection. And, you know, they are risking lives. What if this truck just started driving and running cars over and running people over? And what if they attack the driver? I mean, things are escalating, ladies and gentlemen. And anybody telling you that things are getting better, that the economy's doing well, that, you know, society's peaceful, that there'll be no repercussions from the Middle East, these people are drinking the Kool-Aid. You better stay clear of these people because they're going to get you hurt. You need to be preparing. Society is breaking down. The economy continues to break down. The markets can go up all they want. We know who's buying up the bonds. We know how the market's being manipulated. We know why gas prices have gone down, because we're depleting our strategic petroleum reserves. Gas prices down allows them to push the inflation number down. This is all going to come to a head, ladies and gentlemen, and when it does, there's going to be two types of people. People who are prepared and people who are not prepared. And you have a very serious choice right now. You can believe that everything's okay because the stock market's in the green today, but ask yourself, is your life better today? Is your bank account bigger? Do you have more opportunity? Are you making more at your job? Is everything okay because the stock market's up? Probably not. For the most part, most people are feeling this crisis. And they're going to continue to tell us that everything is good. All your friends are doing wonderful. The consumer's doing great. You're the only one who isn't. Don't believe it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, over 20%, I forgot the number here. What was it? 24% of this country is late on the utility bills. Millions of people haven't even paid off their credit cards from last Christmas, and they're going to go out and run them up again this year. People are going to continue to be irresponsible, reckless, and they're going to pay a huge price here. And many people will get duped and suckered into the stock market and into all the little games and tricks. And when they pull the rug out, ladies and gentlemen, there will be hell to pay. There will be hell to pay. And people are going to be, they're going to be done. They're going to have absolutely nothing. So be very, very careful about where you're putting your money, where you're investing, what you're buying, how much money you're spending. Right now, I would be very, very cautious. I would be very, very safe right now. They're really trying to sell us that everything is okay. You know it's not. You can tell just in your gut you know it's not. But you start looking at the numbers, you know it's not okay. It's not going to be okay. There's no way that we're approaching $34 trillion in debt, $190 trillion in unfunded liabilities, average income $34,000, while the average new house is $420,000, average new car $51,000, deficit approaching $2 trillion, credit card debt at all-time highs at $1.01 trillion. You got student loan debt at what, $1.7 trillion, auto loan debt 1.6, 1.7 trillion. 25, 30,000 repossessions a day. Credit card delinquencies beginning to really rise. Foreclosures in America rising. Yeah, this is something we all better be paying attention to. I'm going to leave it there today. I don't want to ramble on here. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day. Be safe out there. If you watched yesterday's video, I don't have any updates on what happened to that young woman. But you got to be careful, ladies and gentlemen. You got to be careful. Really quick in closing, I watched an interview with the gentleman where they attempted that home invasion in Mid-City in Los Angeles. And I watched the interview of the gentleman who defended his home, his wife, his child, his nanny, and he fought back and they could not get into his house, thank God. And it was a really, really good interview. And it reminds me, and it should remind you, that you never know when something bad is going to happen. You don't know who's watching you right now, who's following you home, who's walking up behind you at the park, at the beach, up to your house. You don't know. Be careful. Use situational awareness. It is so critical right now. And make sure you have security. God bless. Stay safe. And make sure that you pray for this country. America needs a miracle at this point. We have to be praying for this for this country for a miracle. A miracle. And the best thing we can do right now is continue to pray, continue to absorb as much knowledge, continue to learn new skills, continue to wake up more and more people, and continue to prepare. God bless.